If you want to increase dopamine, it's good to know that viewing any kind of light between the hours of 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. activates a pro-depressive pathway in the brain. And that's going to downregulate dopamine, so you want to avoid light during those hours. If you're dealing with anxiety, here are some things you can do that might help. Avoid making vergence eye movements where you stare at a point in front of your face for too long. Doing that increases neurochemicals in your brain responsible for focus, and over time it can create anxiety. It's good practice to go outside and look at a horizon multiple times throughout the day. Want to know why it feels so good to listen to old music that you know? It's because our brains are prediction machines, and when we listen to songs we know, our brain can correctly predict what's going to happen next the whole time. And every time our brain makes a correct prediction, we get dopamine. Researchers showed that there's a chemical that can travel from your bones through your blood to your brain and increase the birth of new brain cells. And this happened in the hippocampus, so it improved learning and memory. It's called osteocalcin, and the way to increase it is by doing at least 180 minutes of zone 2 exercise a week. The best time to listen to frequency music or affirmations is when your brain is in theta state. Because theta state is when you can directly target your subconscious mind. And your brain goes into theta state as you're falling asleep at night and as you're waking up in the morning. So yes, you should absolutely listen while you sleep. If you're struggling with overthinking or anxiety, here's something you can do to immediately ground yourself and become more conscious in the present moment. First, take a deep breath into your stomach and ask yourself, am I aware? Because if you're all up in your head, it's kind of hard to be aware of what's going on around you. Plus, breathing into your diaphragm slows your heart rate. As a neuroscientist diagnosed with ADHD, something that drastically improves my focus and motivation is to decrease my simple carb and sugar intake. Simple carbs and sugar increase serotonin, which slows down your frontal lobe activity and shifts your nervous system into a more rest and digest state, which is kind of the opposite of what you want to be in if you're trying to get work done. There is so much peace in the experience of getting lost. I think it's because our brain has no former associations of the location that we're at. Normally our surroundings are familiar and our brain is reminding us of the past experiences and emotions that we felt. But when your brain can't make any associations with where you are forced to be in the present moment to make new association. I just secured some of the coolest merch I've ever seen, plus everyone keeps telling me they love it, so let me put you on. The company's called Awake Happy, and these are just some of their styles, but all of their apparel is meant to spread universal wisdom. You're basically a magnet to positive energy when you wear it. This shirt's giving, let me unlock your mind? Some pretty monumental research just came out showing that serotonin and dopamine have the ability to go into the nucleus of our cells and change the way our DNA is read and the genes that are expressed. And drugs of abuse do this, but not in a good way. Drugs increase serotonin and dopamine, but over time your brain learns and adapts, and then you don't get that same increase anymore. If you participate in 420 activities and or take SSRIs, you need to hear this. So someone I know was dealing with some really bad side effects and came to me, and I ended up finding out that CBD affects the concentration of an enzyme responsible for the metabolism of many SSRIs. It causes an increase in concentration of the SSRI in your body and increases the likelihood of unwanted side effects. So if you didn't know, telomere length shortening is associated with aging, but it's also been implicated in chronic stress, depression, and cancer cell growth. But a study published in Nature in 2020 showed that long-term meditators have increased telomere length and changes in DNA methylation patterns. And DNA methylation is one thing that causes epigenetic changes in gene expression. Long story short, meditation could increase your lifespan. I took a whole class on molecular neuroscience, and I can tell you epigenetics is very real. Epigenetics is the process by which your gene expression changes through modifications of your DNA. Everything in your environment changes the formation of your DNA, including your body, because your body is the environment for your cells. Your mindset, emotions, and attitude all determine the environment your cells have to live in every single day. This is one of the best anxiety hacks that I know. The reason why so many people in our generation have anxiety is because we spend all day staring at a screen in front of our faces. Staring at a point in front of your face is called a vergence eye movement, and this eye movement increases focus and alertness, which is great until you do it all day long, and now you have stress and anxiety. But you can reverse it by doing a non-vergence eye movement, aka going outside and looking at a horizon. Yeah, so doctors use this treatment in people with PTSD, but you can do it at home to process any negative emotions. Scientists discovered that whenever you make side-to-side eye movements, you actually deactivate the area of your brain that's responsible for processing negative emotions. And these eye movements happen subconsciously whenever you're doing forward motion like walking, running. So the treatment is to think about the event that's giving you anxiety while you're doing forward motion or while you're sitting and moving your eyes side to side. If you do that over time, your brain is going to stop associating that event with negative emotions and you should be good to go. If you feel comfortable, write down all of the negative things that you think about yourself. And then write down all of the negative, limiting things that your parents told you about who you are and just about life in general. Like I wrote down, we can't afford this, you need to be doing something more realistic with your life, you're too sensitive, blah, blah, blah. And then look at that list and realize that these are the unconscious beliefs that you have that are holding you back. And then from there, you write the opposite of all the things you have written in affirmation form. So instead of we can't afford this, I wrote I can afford the things that I desire. New places bring peace, presence, and creativity because our brain isn't projecting the past onto the present moment because there is no past in this new place. If you want to feel this way in a familiar place, it is super important to acknowledge that your past does not predict your future. It's always good practice to go into a familiar place with an open mind thinking anything can happen. We can practice staying in the present moment by being mindful and asking ourselves, am I aware? Because it's really hard to be aware of your surroundings if you're not present. If we want to boost creativity, we want to turn off the left logical side of our brain. We can do this by doing mindlessness tasks that don't require a lot of higher level thinking. One of the most impactful things I've learned since being a neuroscientist is the power of your brain in theta state, because theta is when you can directly program your subconscious mind. You can also learn things way faster. It's why children learn languages so quickly, because the first 7 years of our lives are predominantly in theta. As adults, we're in theta state right before we fall asleep, right after we wake up, and in deep meditation. What you put into your mind while you're in theta will impact your mental health and your mindset drastically. 2 things I do in theta every single day are affirmations and intention setting, basically telling my brain what I want to get out of my day. Gratitude and journaling are 2 more good ones. And lastly, please do not go on social media while you're in theta. As a neuroscientist in the addiction field, I know there's a lot of controversy about nicotine. This is because nicotine binds acetylcholine receptors, which when activated are known to assist with focus, learning, and memory. There are Nobel Prize-winning neuroscientists that chewed nicotine gum every single day. However, this can allow people to learn to become addicted way quicker. Also, drugs of abuse cause changes on the DNA level. In addiction, the dopamine system is disrupted. And current research shows that when this happens, dopamine has the ability to go into the nucleus of our cells and bind to DNA to change the way our genes are expressed. If you don't care about your lungs, just think about your DNA. I used to be addicted to juuling. I know how hard it is. If you need some tips, I can probably post those too. Yeah, so this is how I became a neuroscientist. First thing I did was switch my major to neuroscience when I was an undergrad. I fell in love with it immediately and aced my first exam because neuroscience is my shit. And so my professor reached out to congratulate me and I responded to him saying I really wanted to get involved in research. Went to his office hours and he set up some interviews for me. I got the job from both the interviews, but I wanted to scan brains, so I studied learning and memory in kids using fMRI. And that was really cool, but I really wanted to do more preclinical type research. And developing new treatments to prevent relapse to addiction is something that I'm really passionate about. So I went all in, read our research paper every single day, and came up with my own idea. Then I started applying to PhD programs so I could actually do my idea. I pitched my idea to faculty members in my PhD school interviews, and it stuck. So now I'm getting my PhD in neuroscience while getting paid to do the research project I'm extremely passionate about. If you do these 3 things, you will be over your ex in less than a month, guaranteed. 1, you have to cut off all communication at least for the first few months. Maybe there's possibility for friendship down the line, but for right now, it's out of sight, out of mind. Number 2 is you gotta delete all the photos. I kept a few of some cool vacation spots, but all the cute little selfies, they gotta go. Looking back on the photos will only make you romanticize the relationship because you don't take pictures during the bad times. Step 3 is my favorite, and you gotta make 2 lists. List 1 is a list of negatives, and you write down everything that you want that relationship did not have. Also write down all of the things that you don't like about that person. Be as ruthless as you want and make the list as long as possible. The second list is a list of positives. Write down all the things that you love about yourself, everything you have to offer that makes you amazing. I wrote these lists in my phone, so whenever I started to miss the person, I could go back and read them and be like, oh yeah, that person wasn't all that, and oh yeah, I am the shit.